On the stage now from Minneapolis, Dr. Janel Anderson.
Every conversation you have, every meeting you lead, every chance conversation you have in the hallway, you are creating an experience for someone. You're creating a context. You're creating a context for your leadership and an experience for that person to live into. When you think critically and carefully about what kind of experience you want to create, you will do a much better job creating something that people want to follow, something that they want to be a part of.
Difficult conversation. If we start with something like this. Well, my daddy taught me to pick my battles carefully. Guess what we're creating in that conversation? A battleground. So, and if I was on the receiving end of that conversation, oh man, you think I'd get defensive? In a heartbeat. And we don't have a choice about that stuff. When we feel confronted and we start to get defensive, we don't get a chance to say like, okay, hold on, Thalamus. Even though that seemed like it was threatening, I probably shouldn't be threatened by it. So please don't go dumping all of those cortisol and adrenaline and all those other stress hormones in me. We don't get a chance. It just happens. We're biologically programmed that way. So we want to make sure we're using words when we open that conversation that aren't going to make the other person defensive.
Every time I take the stage, my job is to give actionable content, to deliver rock-solid, research-based content that people can put into place in their jobs the very next day. That's what I deliver every single time.
And this helps greatly when we're at odds with each other and we're not able to reach agreement. If we can find some agreement in our body language and in our tone of voice, the person feels heard. They feel connected to us, and then it's a little bit easier to sometimes reach agreement with the words part if we're at odds with each other. When we're listening, it's so important to be in sync with one another. Now, it doesn't mean, again, if we overemphasize our mirroring of somebody else's nonverbal communication or tone of voice, it gets pretty weird pretty fast. But if just for 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and the research shows up to 90 seconds, you can mirror up to 90 seconds before people start to get weirded out by what you're doing, that we can very quickly establish rapport with somebody.
Janel Anderson brings the audience along for a fantastic exploratory ride as she creates memorable encounters that will be talked about long after your event is over. She gets the audience rising up out of their seats and even on stage as they begin to immediately apply the concepts she shares during the session. You will leave inspired with new tools you can effectively use to boost confidence and improve communication. The result? An unforgettable transformation of thoughts and actions.
It's expensive when we back away from conversations that are challenging and confrontational, but it happens all the time. You see it at work. In fact, you probably saw it last week one day with one of your colleagues who said in a meeting, fine, whatever, when clearly it wasn't fine. She didn't agree with what was being said, but she didn't have the courage to stand up and say what needed to be said. She pulled back. What would it be like if instead of fine, whatever, she had the courage to stand up and say what needs to be said? It might sound like this. Well, I respectfully disagree. Or, I don't feel like I can be on board with this program. I don't have enough information. What would it be like if she did that? Little by little, the organizational culture would shift and change.
It was very interesting. She was an excellent speaker, yes. I would definitely come back.
She was very funny and kind of kept you engaged, so I like that.
I loved her genuine enthusiasm and experience.
She had some really great tools to share with the group and really real-life examples and used humor appropriately, and I'm hoping to be able to kind of connect and network with her.
Janel Anderson was a great fit for our women's network because she has the academic credentials. She also has real-world corporate experience, and she's very down to earth.
I think a lot of young people, it'd be really beneficial just because we live in such a digital world. that having conversations, we're so used to doing it over email or text, and so building up communication skills could be really beneficial, especially going into the workplace.
Everybody needs to listen to her and her communication skills. Communication is important for life, and everybody needs to know how to communicate.
Instead of a candy bar, I'm going to take action. Okay, the next time I get that cue, which is probably going to be Wednesday at work, I'm going to go reach for an orange instead. Now, we want to have an emotional reaction around this, because this is how we lock that into new neural pathways in the brain. So as you're eating that orange, you just want to soak in its deliciousness, the smell of the orange, the flavor of the orange juice dripping down your chin, wiping it up with a napkin, just soak in that juicy orange. Because when you create that emotional experience for yourself, it does two things. It locks it into your cognitive memory, and it locks it into your body memory. Think about the things that you can remember from any point in your life. We remember the highs and we remember the lows. We remember the dramatically emotional experiences. If I asked you what you were doing on, say, October 20th in 1989, unless that happens to be your birthday or something, there's a really good chance you can't remember anything that happened that day. Unless you were in a car accident, which would be way down here, or maybe you got married that day, something high or low happened. We remember those, but the middle stuff, we kind of just forget. So you want to make this a really, literally juicy experience so that it locks it into your memory. And then, and only then, do we get the full effect of what this stem can support. We get the new, and really what we get is we get a new neural pathway.
Janel Anderson shares new tools and reveals novel ways of thinking, giving audiences greater confidence that leads to superior performance. Her compelling message is based on her PhD in organizational communication and over 20 years of experience. Janel is a top-rated keynote speaker for corporate events, associations, and business retreats, with a client list that includes leading companies in technology, healthcare, manufacturing, and finance. Janel is part professor, part comedian, part therapist. You will laugh, gain insight, and create positive and powerful change. Her contagious enthusiasm will have the hallways buzzing long after the presentation is over. Book Janel today and discover why so many organizations are delighted they made the decision to hire Janel.
And when you've got those three things in place, when you've got the competence, because you know your stuff inside and out, and you've got the confidence that comes from that competence, where you know your stuff inside and out and you can feel it in every cell of your body, next comes courage. And when you've got the courage that's built on the confidence that's built on the competence, you can take just about anything head on. And when you do, you will find that so much opens up for you. You will find more available to you than you ever knew possible. More clear and specific communication. More innovative ideas. More collaboration. More business building for your bottom line. More growth in your vertical. More market share for you. More success. Really, when you've got this competence and confidence and courage, that platform is going to create more success for you in all aspects of your life. Every single one of them. Whether you need a high-energy speaker on a big stage in front of thousands of people, or a strategic advisor in an intimate setting with your leadership team, I'd love to visit with you to see if I'm the right fit. So give us a call. When my message is the right fit with your audience, we really can change the world, one conversation at a time.